Top 10 Famous Paintings that Inspired Horror Movie Makers Inside and Outside Sets and Settings, Topics and Themes, Beasts and Hazards. Even exchange and audio effects. Every one of these thriller components have been proposed by renowned paintings inspired by crafted by acclaimed craftsmen. Blood and gore flick chiefs have added sound, visual, and sensational impacts to their own inventive dreams, upgrading their imaginative works with those of experts of expressionism. Sorcery, authenticity, oddity, innovation, sentimentalism, and the Baroque. The results are striking, adding extravagance and profundity to the movie's own pictures and subjects of the awful and the horrendous. Number 10. Image of Dorian Gray. Despite the fact that he may not be just about as renowned as a portion of different painters on this rundown, Ivan Albright, the acclaimed expert of the horrifying, was Chief Albert Lewin's decision as the craftsman who might paint the representation of the hero of his blood and gore movie, The Picture of Dorian Gray. 1945, a variation of Oscar Wilde's 1891 novel. In the film, as in the novel, Gray, an attractive young fellow, commissions his picture. As the consequence of an arrangement with Satan, the impacts of Gray's licentious and underhanded life make their imprints on the artistic creation, as opposed to on Gray's own appearance and the vain delinquent remaining parts as youthful and attractive as anyone might think possible, in spite of the progression of time and his large number of despicable deeds. Albeit the film was recorded clearly, Lewin shot the picture in full tone to feature Gray's horrendous transformation. In Albright's oil painting A Portrait of Dorian Gray, 1943-1944, Gray is matured, his forehead wrinkled, his rotted tissue dim, his nose bulbous, his mouth curved, and his face and hands spread with blood. He looks very distraught, with gazing, swelling eyes, and his messy, worn-out garments, likewise spread with blood, seemed rotten. The furniture in the room in which he stands is similarly destroyed, and mortar is absent from the dividers. Peculiar appearances and huge shapes appear to scoff from dividers, furniture, Gray's apparel, and the botanical rug under his well-used blood-spotted shoes. On account of Albright's picture, it is obvious to the crowd that the territory of Gray's spirit is without a doubt ghastly. Anyway, young and attractive, his physical structure and face may show up the work of art as an ideal demeanor of the film's subject. Evil ruins the spirit. Number 9. Witch's Sabbath. In Shooting the Witch, a New England folktale, 2015, Chief Robert Eggers, who likewise composed the film's content, endeavored to remake the universe of the 17th century, where his dramatization happens. So the setting's sensible portrayal would add believability to the film's reason that witches truly existed. To this end, he likewise looked to portray his own witches authentic. Despite the fact that witches were significantly more basic and much more alarming than individuals today may envision, Eggers said, the witch in his film should likewise dazzle his crowd as somebody whose presence would have really been accepted by her peers. Therefore, she was unable to look like fantasy variants of witches. One way he guaranteed the exactness of his portrayals of the hour of his film setting was to counsel antiquarians and exhibition halls and living history experts. Eggers likewise went to a magnum opus by a popular painter for motivation concerning how to portray his witch, Francisco Goya's 1798 Witch's Sabbath. Albeit the work is outside the time period of Eggers' 17th-century world, it is an immortal portrayal of the subject, the chief said, and the best visual portrayals of witches you could ask for. The painting shows Satan, in the appearance of a goat, situated upstanding, its horns enclosed by a festoon, encircled by witches, one of whom offers the focal figure a naked infant, while another presents a stripped, withered kid. A portion of the witches are more seasoned than others, however none are youthful. Other than the introduction of the kids, apparently as penances, one of the additional upsetting pictures in the artistic creation shows up behind the scenes. 3 bare kids' bodies hung by their necks from an exposed hone branch stuck into the ground. Ironically, despite the fact that Eggers utilizes Goya's painting as an investigation of witches, finding in their portrayal a sensible show of how they may show up, which is Sabbath. Similar to different compositions in the 6 works Goya committed to the subject of black magic, are seen by pundits as an ironical analysis of the notions of the informed society to which the painter had a place. Number 8. Necronomicon IV and Necronomicon V. The artificially glamorized artworks of surrealist H.R. Giger are upsetting, extraordinary, exceptional works highlighting half-human, half-machine biomechanical figures, human growth, eel-like beasts, babies, phallic shapes, apparatus, and a peculiar, gigantic being that enlivened the extraterrestrial animal in Ridley Scott's 1979 sci-fi thriller Alien, painting and chiseling the animal on the set just as chiseling the insides of the spaceship. Giger gave Scott what he needed, albeit the craftsman had liked to plan the outsider animal once more. Scott, dazzled by the remarkable way wherein Giger's Necronomicon IV (1976) and Necronomicon V (1976) artworks passed on both awfulness and excellence, requested that Giger follow their structure. Subsequently, not exclusively was Scott's crowd scared by Giger's outsider. However, the craftsman won a 1980 Academy Award for Best Visual Effects for his work on the film. Number 7. The Garden of Earthly Delights. Regan McNeil, moved by malicious spirits, spouts, notwithstanding green shot regurgitation, irreverence, profanity, sacrilege, put-downs, and condemnation at the 2 clerics who have gone to her home to exorcise the evil presences inside. The adolescent's odd conduct introduced an issue. What does the voice of Satan sound like? The Exorcist's chief William Friedkin and Chris Newman, who worked in the film's sound office, discovered their answer in an impossible source. Hieronymus Bosch's well-known surrealist 3-panel painting, The Garden of Earthly Delights 1490–1510, because Linda Blair, who depicted Regan, was a kid entertainer. The imposing-voiced Mercedes McCambridge conveyed a large part of the 1971 film's foul language. Friedkin showed Newman Bosch's painting, bringing up the many evil spirits in the board of the 3-panel painting that addresses the painter's vision of damnation. That is the thing that the voice of Satan should seem like, Friedkin recommended. To make the elaborate clamor of sound recommended by Bosch's pictures of the evil, many accounts were utilized to make a blend of various sounds, which included, among others, those of croaking tree frogs and honey bees. Number 6. The Empire of Light. René Magritte's strange arrangement of oil and gouache artworks, all in all called The Empire of Light 1940s to 1960s, gave the motivation to an outside shot in Friedkin's film. The canvases present a comparable scene, a house encircled by evening states of trees, growth, and shadows, enlightened simply by a light post on the grass and a light in a higher-up window. Remains under an overcast blue daytime sky because the artwork compares day and night in an unthinkable way. Many view the scene it portrays as shocking, an ideal picture for a film about a young lady's liberation from devilish belonging. Magritte's painting roused the scene in Friedkin's film that shows the appearance of Father Marin as he remains solitary in the city underneath the light post outside the house where Satan anticipates him. The splendid sky addresses paradise, the abode of God, maybe, while the murkiness of the earth, Satan's area, represents evil. Number 5. Amedeo Modigliani paintings. The Beast in Stephen King's It is a shapeshifter, ready to accept the type of anybody's most noticeably terrible bad dream. Frequently, it shows up as Pennywise, the distraught, threatening jokester. Be that as it may, in Chief Andy Muschietti's 2017 film variation of King's Tale, it additionally changes itself into such pretenses as a werewolf, a pariah, and a female flute player who rises out of an Amedeo Modigliani painting in the workplace of the dad of youthful Stanley Uries. The flute player is unnerving in light of the fact that her face is inconceivably extended. The highlights are past deviated on the grounds that unthinkably twisted, and the distorted skulls appear to falter upon stretched necks. This specific symbol of it, the chief clarified, is a strict interpretation of an extremely close-to-home youth dread. In my home, there was a print of a Modigliani painting that I found frightening. Furthermore, the possibility of meeting a manifestation of the lady in it would make me insane. The artwork's portrayal of a female figure was so distorted, the chief added, that it struck him as massive. One might say, the unusual flute player in his adaptation of it is the means by which King's Beast appears to him. It has taken the structure generally startling to the chief. An acknowledgement of Muschietti's own most exceedingly terrible youth dread. Number 4. The Nightmare. In 1781, Henry Fuseli painted Der Nachtmar, the Nightmare, in which an incubus or male sex evil presence rests upon the midsection of a dozing lady wearing a robe, her arms and head hanging off the bed and the remainder of her body in an arousing demeanor. A pony's head, having a place with a night horse, or bad dream, rises out of the room's thick shadows. In 2015, the popular composition propelled the theme for the movie of a similar title, coordinated by Akis, a nom de plume Achim Bornhick. The film's fundamental character, Tina, lays down with a terrible devilish animal close to her. Is it accurate to say that she is envisioning its quality? It is safe to say that she is the one in particular who sees it, real or non-existent. How does the substance identify with Tina, and what does it address? It appears to be that Bornhick is deliberately uncertain about the animal's importance and, hence, the topic of his film. The embryo-like being could address Tina's nascent franticness. It could represent her alienation from her companions. It may propose Tina's dread of rejection. The film's inferences to Stanley Kubrick's 2001, A Space Odyssey, and to his A Clockwork Orange, to the supernatural English heartfelt artist William Blake, and, obviously, to Fuseli's painting appear to disappoint, understanding however much they may offer hints to the film's importance. Which makes pundits wonder, significantly more, what Bornhick's aims could be. Maybe the film's significance relies upon the crowd's own understandings. Number 3. House by the Railroad. Known to millions, Norman Bates' Victorian house, remaining solitary on the slope sitting above his confined inn, is perhaps the most remarkable pieces of the setting for Alfred Hitchcock's horrifying 1960 magnum opus Psycho. Far less are adept to realize that the motivation for this place of devastations is the 1925 painting House by the Railroad, by the observed Edward Hopper. The Museum of Metropolitan Art in New York City depicts the artwork's home as a great Victorian home, its base and grounds darkened by the tracks of a railroad, which make a visual hindrance that appears to obstruct admittance to the house, which is confined in an unfilled scene. It is only this state of mind that Hitchcock's home on the slope makes maybe the unwelcoming. The house is precluding. It exists not as a component of a bigger local area, but rather as, all things being equal, separated and alone. It cuts off its occupant from the bigger world, permitting Bates to live in his very own fanciful truth device, a world which ends up being one both of depression and of franticness. Number 2. Susannah and the Elders. Different artistic creations other than that of Hopper additionally rouse one of the settings for Psycho, the parlor behind Bates' office in the inn. As per a trailer for the film, Bates himself depicts the parlor as his most loved spot, pointing out one of the canvases on the parlor's divider. He begins to clarify its extraordinary importance, yet neglects to complete his idea. The artwork is a print of William Van Mieris's 1731 Susannah and the Elders, which has in excess of a simply enlivening or a stylish reason. It covers the peephole through which Bates keeps an eye on Marion Crane. The painting itself reviews the 13th section of Daniel in the Catholic Bible, the Book of Susannah in the Protestant, an authenticated written work, in which Susannah, an upstanding young lady, is spied upon by elderly folks as she washes. At the point when she denies their requests to have intercourse with them, they at that point imperil both her standing and her life by lying about their having gotten her in the demonstration of infidelity. The presence of the work of art along these lines makes a mention that highlights the equals between Susannah's predicament and Crane's own, escalating the film's tension. It additionally embroils the film's crowd, who, similar to the work of art's older folks and Bates himself, likewise spy on Crane as she showers. Number 1. Venus with a Mirror. The parlor behind the workplace of the Bates Motel additionally shows Titian's 1555 magnum opus Venus with a Mirror. Curvy, the half-stripped goddess sits, her correct arm and lower body hung in red velvet, looking into a mirror held up for this reason by a winged cupid. A comparative second orderly holds a hand reflect behind her head, so she can inspect herself behind just as to the front. Her riveted look recommends that she is satisfied with what she sees, as Katrina Powers notices. In her conversation of the work of art in the Journal of American Culture, she holds her surrendered hand her chest, maybe to respect the gold wristband and ring that enhance it, as she likewise thinks about whether the adornments is a decent counterpart for her pearl studs and the gold and pearl enrichments she wears in her light hair. Not the slightest bit should her raised arm be deciphered as safeguarding her nakedness, Powers proclaims. For it is somewhat more probable, one of the numerous stances she strikes while mulling over her own loveliness in the showcase of the Venus picture close by that of the Susannah painting. Pundits have seen various implications, including the association between voyeurism, want, and brutality. Donald Spoto, voyeurism, improper allegation, undermined guiltlessness, influence abused. Mysteries, Desire and Demise, Eric Lundy and Douglas Novier, and In Assault Dream, Michael Walker. It could be that for Bates, Marion addresses the allurement of female sexuality that his mom disallows him, Venus, and the longing to give up to this enticement. Through voyeurism, Susannah, that finishes in savagery and demise for Marion, the exemplification of these clashing motivations and necessities. Thanks for watching. World Top 10 channel. Subscribe now.